This is the Luncheon edition of Triple N News for Monday, November 7th. Coming up in today's edition, 6th to the 12th November is being observed as Dental Week in Grenada under the theme Eradicating Dental Disease Through Education. In the region, Suriname and Trinidad in trade dispute over duck meat. Internationally, the Philippine Coast Guard says it has resumed patrols at a shoal at the center of a territorial dispute with China.
Coming up in today's sports, Grenadian nominated for Caribbean Sports Award.
The Luncheon edition of news is being brought to you through the compliments of Flo. We'll have the details when we return.
I'll take a small.
XXL! That's the size for me!
Flo's new prepaid combo plans have the most choice and value for everyone. Save up to 90% by combining your talk, text, and data into one simple plan. And with options starting at just $18.99, it's easy to say it, type it, or share it. A whole lot more for a whole lot less. Dial *129# now to activate. The bigger you go, the bigger you save with Flo's new prepaid combo plans. This is how we flow.
With the details for Monday, I am Mina Booker. Locally, if the bill proposing the fixed date for election is passed on referendum day by receiving 2/3 majority, Grenada will be the first OECS country that will have a fixed date for election.
Former president of the OECS Bar Association and Local Bar Association, Douglas Ferguson, says the objective is to get rid of a situation where the Prime Minister alone possibly knows the date for election and can call it once he feels the opposition is weak.
The principle is fixed date. What Parliament would have to fix is a date, and therefore you would know the date in advance. And that is the purpose of a fixed date for election. It would not be a fixed date like November 20th every 5 years. It's not that kind of fixed date, simply because a fixed date would lead you to holding elections on Saturdays, Sundays, and just about any day. So what it would be is would be the second Tuesday in November, the third Wednesday in October, the first Monday in September, as the case may be.
QC Justice Don Mitchell, retired jurist for Anguilla, supports the bill, which he says encourages accountability, transparency, and integrity. He says too many Caribbean leaders, including premiers and prime ministers, develop a sense of ownership to the country if elected beyond 2 terms.
Elected representatives, particularly after they are appointed ministers, sometimes lose their awareness that the public placed confidence in their promise to serve. A power of recall should serve as a reminder of their vulnerability if they are seen to betray the confidence of the public. A fixed date for general elections is an obvious constitutional precaution against abuse of the electoral system by a prime minister who becomes more conscious of his power and privilege than of his promise to serve the public good.
Brandon Wells reporting for Triple N News.
The 6th to 12th of November is being observed as Dental Week in Grenada under the theme Eradicating Dental Disease Through Education.
It's the most important aspect of good oral hygiene because, everything starts with education. If you're not educated on a matter, then you can't execute it. So I think dental oral hygiene starts with being educated about how to do it, what to do, and telling people the benefits of doing it, and also the effects that it causes when you don't adhere to good oral hygiene.
Dentist Dr. Julie Dubois. She discusses activities surrounding Dental Week.
We've asked the minister to do an address for us, Minister of Health, and during the week we are going to be promoting the oral hygiene as much as possible throughout our clinics, through the news, on the newspapers. We're running a dental quiz on 2 radio stations, on Real FM and BFM, and also in Carriacou. And we are also going to have our dental health fair. This year it's going to be in Corinth Government School. We're going to have all the 6 primary schools participating in the quiz, and during the dental health fair, our sponsors will come and have booths displaying dental products.
There exists the toothbrush program in schools, along with regular visits to schools by dentists. Dubois says these are geared at promoting good dental practices.
Get them into the good habits, so that we can break that old cycle of neglect, the children falling asleep, the teeth are clean, and in the nighttime, that's when all the damage is done. So if we break the cycle in the schools, the children know and understand the benefits of toothbrushing, and we get them to go home with that message to the parents, so the parents are encouraged also to remind them. Then we can break that cycle, and then we would not have that high incidence of dental caries, especially in our children.
The dialogue has now shifted, now involving the Ministry of Education for the inclusion of brushing utensils on the book list. Organizers of the Michelle Coy reading competition over on the Sister Isle are promising to keep Michelle's legacy alive. Details in this report.
Miss Coy, who was affectionately called Teacher Michelle, career spanned over a decade at 6 primary schools throughout the Twin Island constituency. She was a reading specialist from Carriacou and Petite Martinique. George Blaise, president of the Brooklyn-based organization Mount Pleasant and Grand Bay, USA, said as long as the organization is in existence, Michelle's legacy will live on through the Michelle Coy reading competition. District Education Officer for the Sister Isle, Rosalina Patrice Lindor, expressed her gratitude to the group for their continued support to the reading competition.
To the President and the members of the organization, I say, it is not fictitious. Your investments are paying off. You are helping us to convert readers into leaders. We express our heartfelt thanks to the organization, the Mount Pleasant and Grand Bay organization, for investing in our children. And we say you are indeed helping to secure our future. We are indeed aware of the struggles and the sacrifices to ensure the continuity and progress of your organization.
She made a plea to those in diaspora to support the group.
To all those in the diaspora to support the Mount Pleasant and Grand Bay organization so that they can continue to support the academic growth and development of our children in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, and our nation by extension.
Equisha McQuilkin was announced winner of the recently held competition. Michelle's vision was to eradicate illiteracy in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Coy passed away in 2009. Maxine Antoine, Triple N News.
That's local news for you on Monday. Taking a look ahead in sports.
Coming up in today's sports, Grenadian nominated for Caribbean Sports Award. West Indies captain refusing to get involved in recent player retainer contract debate, and Britain's tennis star Andy Murray celebrates his rise to world number 1. These stories and more into the sporting segment.
I'll take a small.
XL! That's the size for me!
Flow's new prepaid combo plans have the most choice and value for everyone. Save up to 90% by combining your talk, text, and data into one simple plan. And with options starting at just $18.99, it's easy to say it, type it, or share it. A whole lot more for a whole lot less. Dial *129# now to activate. The bigger you go, the bigger you save with Flow's new prepaid combo plans. This is how we flow.
Welcome sporting fans to the luncheon edition of Triple N Sports. In local sporting developments, Grenada's javelin thrower and champion Anderson Peters has been nominated in the 2 categories of the 3rd Annual Caribbean Sports Awards organized by the Caribbean Sports Journalists Association, CASGE. Peters is nominated in the Junior Sportsman and Male Rising Star categories. Unfortunately, none of the journalists in Grenada participated in the selection of nominees. The Caribbean Sports Journalists Association Awards have been developed to recognize outstanding sporting achievements in the Caribbean. The winners will be announced on Friday, November 18th. In cricket, West Indies captain Jason Holder has refused to be involved with the recent player retainer contract debate, claiming he will instead focus on positivity and leading the team on the pitch. Last week, it was revealed that 3 of the regional team's senior players, Marlon Samuels, Carlos Brathwaite and Darren Bravo had refused retainers from the West Indies Cricket Board. The decision cast doubt on the future of the players in the regional setup, with Samuel one of the team's most senior players, Brathwaite the newly appointed T20 captain, and Bravo one of its most promising batsmen, all thought of key components. Test captain Holder has insisted there is very little to be done from his perspective. Still on West Indies developments, West Indies wicketkeeper Nicholas Pooran will be banned from participating in the upcoming Digicel 4-day regional tournament after signing with the Khulna Titans in the Bangladesh Premier League. As a result, the player will also be unable to take part in the regional Super 50 tournament, which will get underway early next year, and also impact his chances of eligibility for the West Indies. In basketball, reigning NBA champions the Cleveland Cavaliers improved to 6-0 after overcoming a stern test against the winless Philadelphia 76ers, while the Oklahoma City Thunder were too good for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Cavaliers prevailed 102-101 over the 76ers to stay perfect in the NBA on Saturday. Philadelphia overturned an 18-point deficit to hit the front in the fourth quarter, but Channing Frye hit a three-pointer with just over a minute remaining to give the Cavs the win. The Thunder bounced back from their loss to Golden State Warriors by accounting for the Timberwolves 112-92. The Los Angeles Clippers have also won 5 of the opening 6 games following Saturday's 116-92 victory at the San Antonio Spurs. In tennis, Britain's Andy Murray celebrated his rise to the world number 1 by beating American John Isner 6-3, 6-7, 4-7, 6-4 to win his Paris Masters title.
I took a break. I took, after that Davis Cup, I took basically 12 of the next 13 days rest. I didn't do anything at all. I didn't actually add Vienna to my schedule. That was always on there. I hadn't played Vienna the previous year, but I'd always planned on playing Vienna this year. And yeah, obviously, I sensed an opportunity to maybe, get closer to the number 1 ranking. I wasn't expected to do it this year, but obviously happened that way because I didn't lose a match. I certainly didn't expect that to happen after the Davis Cup.
The victory brought Murray his 6th ATP title of a memorable 2016. The Scot has also added his 2nd Olympic and Wimbledon titles on his way to the top of the rankings. On Monday, he was officially confirmed as Britain's first singles number 1 since computerized rankings were introduced in 1973. Moving on to football developments, Barcelona are celebrating another Lionel Messi landmark after the Argentina forward scored his 500th goal for the club on Sunday. The 29-year-old netted Barcelona's first in a 2-1 win over Sevilla. That took Messi to 500 in 592 games for the Catalan club, including friendlies, with 469 of those in unofficial fixtures. Messi is now 105 goals clear of the second all-time top scorer, Paulino Alcantara, who played for Barcelona in 2 spells between 1912 and 1927. In April, the forward scored his 500th career goal, including internationals in Barcelona's 2-1 defeat by Valencia. That's a sporting segment for Monday. The international segment will be next.
I'll take a small.
XXL! That's the size for me!
Flow's new prepaid combo plans have the most choice and value for everyone. Save up to 90% by combining your talk, text, and data into one simple plan. And with options starting at just $18.99, it's easy to say it, type it, or share it. A whole lot more for a whole lot less. Dial *129# now to activate. The bigger you go, the bigger you save with Flow's new prepaid combo plans. This is how we flow.
Good morning with the international news. Maxine and Twine. The news shortly. The Philippine Coast Guard says it has resumed patrols at a shoal at the center of a territorial dispute with China using 2 vessels, including one supplied by Japan. Coast Guard spokesman Armand Balilo said Monday that the 2 patrol boats were deployed in Scarborough Shoal last week. He said the Philippines plans to conduct regular patrols of those waters off the country's northwest. China took control of the shoal in 2012 after a tense standoff with Philippine government ships. China then blocked Filipinos from fishing in the shoal, prompting then-President Benigno Aquino III to take the dispute to international arbitration. Democrat Hillary Clinton heads into the final day of a tight White House race against Republican Donald Trump on Monday with a new momentum after the FBI said no criminal charges were forthcoming in an investigation on her email practices. More in this report.
The FBI director's letter to Congress seemed to confirm what the Clinton team had been saying all along. There is no smoking gun in the new trove of emails discovered during an unrelated investigation into the disgraced sexting Congressman Anthony Weiner. Clinton spokeswoman Jennifer Palmieri.
We are glad to see that he has found, as we were confident that he would, that he has confirmed the conclusions that he really reached in July, and we're glad that this matter is resolved.
This was official bad news for the Trump campaign.
And if the FBI's decision was music to the Clinton team's ears, it was bad news for the Trump campaign. Just hours before it came, the candidate himself was predicting that Hillary Clinton would eventually go on trial.
FBI Director Comey will be able to collect more than enough evidence to garner indictments against Hillary Clinton.
That pillar of argument having crumbled, it fell to Mr. Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, to, as the Americans put it, turn lemons into lemonade.
Let's be very fair and open about what all of his conclusions were that will not be changed. Those conclusions include the fact that she was reckless and careless. She lied about the server. She lied about the number of devices. She lied about having classified information.
Both candidates will spend every remaining minute of this campaign trying to persuade any last-minute waverers to get on board.
While the decision effectively bars the 2 Hong Kong politicians from being sworn in, a court in the city must rule on the case in a judicial review, taking Beijing's decision into consideration. Here's the details.
Beijing has intervened in Hong Kong politics to block 2 politicians from taking office. There were protests and scuffles in Hong Kong on Sunday night. And in Nicaragua, President Daniel Ortega is heading for a 3rd consecutive term in office, with over more than 70% of the votes secured after partial results in Sunday's election.
President Daniel Ortega overwhelmingly won re-election to the 3rd consecutive term as Nicaragua's leader, according to results early Monday, even as the opposition called the voting a farce. With about 2/3 of ballots counted on Sunday's 6-candidate presidential race, Ortega had more than 71% of the votes, according to the Supreme Electoral Council. Ortega ran with his wife Rosario Murillo as his vice presidential candidate in a race that pitted him against 5 lesser-known candidates after court rulings weakened the opposition. Critics of the government said the election was unfairly tilted against the opposition, but Murillo praised the process. Emerging with her husband after casting their ballots shortly before the polls closed, she called the vote an exemplary historic election. Switzerland's Federal Tax Administration says it won't contest a court ruling that allows Burbank to be kept up to date about information handed to investigators in France and possibly challenging any final rulings in the case. Swiss law generally requires banks to automatically hand over client information without a right to be involved in such cases. But last month, the Swiss Federal Court ruled UBS could be a party to the case, in part because it faces an investigation in France centering on clients who may have tried to skirt French taxes. The court said at least 10,000 accounts were involved. UBS welcomed the October 25th court ruling but must still hand over information for the investigation. The bank didn't immediately comment on Monday's decision by Swiss tax authorities. And that ends the international segment. The news continues. Stay tuned.
Coming up in the regional segment, Suriname and Trinidad in trade disputes over duck meat, and the Turks and Caicos elections postponed. These stories and more shortly. Welcome back in regional developments. Turks and Caicos Islands Premier Dr. Rufus Irving has postponed the general elections carded from December 5th to December 15th, 2016. The surprise postponement was announced on Saturday by newly appointed British Governor Dr. John Freeman, who said the earlier date will not give officials sufficient time to prepare for the election as envisaged by Section 26 of the Elections Ordinance. The postponement resulted from confusion over the calculations of a number of working days after the dissolution of the House of Assembly that an election can be called. When the Premier dissolved the House recently, no date was given for nomination day. Suriname is trying to resolve a trade dispute with Trinidad and Tobago, which prevents the island from exporting duck meat from entering the Trinidad and Tobago market.
The government said the issue can be resolved as soon as the Trinidad and Tobago government amends its Animal Act under the CARICOM Council for Trade and Economic Development, COTED. COTED has urged the Trinidad authorities to take the necessary steps to resolve the issues in a timely way. COTED Chair and Agriculture Minister of Dominica, Johnson Drago, noted, however, that since legislative procedures could take some time, Trinidad could not offer a timeline when the matter would be resolved definitely. Since December 2015, Trinidad has prevented the importation of meat from Suriname after Trinidad raised concerns that the processes at the duck facility were not in conformity with international food safety measures. Maxine Antoine, Triple M News.
There has been a reduction in the number of cases in Zika in Jamaica. This was disclosed by Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, who said there has been less case over time, adding that severe cases of the illness are also on decline. Tufton urged people to continue to take proactive measures to protect themselves against the mosquito-borne illness. Director of the Family Health Services in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Simone Spencer, noted that 70% of the population will get some form of Zika, with 20% having symptoms of the illness. Jamaica had confirmed its first case of Zika last January, and since then the ministry has repeatedly urged the people displaying symptoms such as fever, joint and muscle pain to get the necessary testing done and sent to the National Public Health Laboratory. Moving on to developments over on St. Vincent, Ralph Gonzalez says that plans are in the pipeline to improve the country's ease of doing business ranking.
The Prime Minister noted that there are underlying issues that affect the ease of doing business in this country, adding that it is often a challenge to obtain important documents and that there needs to be a solution to mitigate these issues.
You have problems with lawyers, you have problems with banks, financial institutions in terms of the pace at which they do things. And of course, we need to have a better system of land registration. I want to say that there are a couple of times when we have moved to get some things done and we never get them fully ahead.
Dr. Gonzalez also used the opportunity to announce that he has received communication from representatives of the World Bank in respect of a proposal for the purpose of implementing policies and systems to curb such issues. He noted that the World Bank representatives are expected to visit SVG soon.
Ease of doing business has to do with how swift do we register plans, physical plans. Well, about 5 years ago, we were number 1, we are number 4 or 5 in the world still. We do that well, comparatively speaking. Our electricity connection, our water connection. What is the situation? How efficient is the port and the customs? Those are, for us, the central issues. And then, of course, the issue of how do we treat with bankruptcies.
Barbados' Frendel Stewart says the public should feel sorry for people who choose not to celebrate Barbados' 50th anniversary of independence. His comments were an obvious reference to the members of the Barbados Labour Party who have stated that they will not turn to celebrate the occasion as they are unhappy with the current state of the country. But Stewart says they have a lot to be thankful for and to celebrate.
Looking back over the last 50 years, personally, I can see quite a lot to be thankful for, to be thankful to God for, and to be thankful to the people of Barbados for. And that is why I feel able to lead that movement for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Barbados's independence. celebration must begin with a spirit of thanksgiving. Those people who are not interested in celebrating obviously do not see anything to be thankful for, and we must not be angry with them. We must just feel sorry for them, because quite frankly, it means that somehow their souls have been enveloped in a kind of darkness from which I think they need to be rescued.
That's regional developments. The odd news is next.
This is not normal at all. It's kind of disturbing. On a normal day, Filbert London, the Pope of Beacon Ministries Sanctuary, is the man of God that his congregation, both young and old, is instructed to call him Daddy or Papa. Today, he is no longer seen as a spiritual daddy, but a man who harbored his female church members as sex slaves at his house, which he called the Vatican, and at most times on the pulpit of his very church. Leaked images, and which cannot be posted, show the Pope at his best engaging in other immoral activities with female members of his church, aside serving them with holy scriptures. In one of the videos, the Pope tells one of his victims to suck his and call him the Pope. Note, the Pope recorded the audios himself. When contacted and shown the images and videos, a spokesperson for the Pope told the reporter that nothing is wrong with the Pope's behavior. He is still a man. A female victim says the Pope lures the many women into his immoral circles amidst dirty WhatsApp and OVO messages. She alleges that she had 2 abortions for the man of God and to hide the shameful act from the public. The victim decided to share with the world her ordeal to warn other women not to fall for such acts. Well, I guess this Pope didn't know what he was doing. It's rather disturbing.
And here is a look at today's weather.
This is the public weather forecast valid for today. The weather is partly cloudy with some isolated showers. Today's maximum temperatures 31 degrees Celsius. Winds east-southeasterly at 14 to 24 miles per hour. Seas slight moderate. Waves 3 to 5 feet in open water. Tides high at 9 a.m. and low at 3 p.m.
The weather concludes the luncheon edition of Triple N News for Monday, November 7th. On behalf of the news team, I am Mina Booker. Thank you for joining us.